Brilliant. Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar on Act Local, Think Global. And we're joined by our brilliant colleagues from Fairtrade Schools and a brilliant school itself to talk about the journey that they've been on with Fairtrade. So it's our Let's Go Zero webinar. It's the second one of the year. And so we're joined by Elena from Fairtrade, an education campaigning manager, and then Heather Wiggins from Bird Primary School. So just before we kick off with our brilliant speakers all about Fairtrade Schools and how schools can go on this journey to become a Fairtrade school, I just wanted to introduce those of you who don't know about the Let's Go Zero campaign, a very brief introduction and how a host of organisations are working together to support schools to become zero carbon. So Let's Go Zero is a campaign calling on the government for all schools, colleges and nurseries across the UK to get to zero carbon. We have that ambition to be zero carbon by 2030 and really showing the government that schools have that intent and ambition to get to zero carbon and be sustainable. But we're calling on them because we need more support, more funding, more guidance in order for us to all do this, especially if we're going to reach our net zero by 2050 legislated target. The brilliant thing is that there are close to 3,000 schools, colleges and nurseries across the UK who have signed up to this campaign to prove to government that there is this growing movement for change, that the demand is there, and that really they need to step up and listen and start supporting schools. But as I said earlier, we work as a whole coalition of organisations. So I work for Ashton, who sort of lead the Let's Go Zero campaign, but we are backed by a whole host of amazing organisations, all here to support schools on their journey to get to zero carbon, really understand what it means to take climate action and embed it within their curriculum, within their school culture and school life. And we're joined by one of our amazing coalition members today, Fairtrade Foundation, who will talk to you about Fairtrade Schools. But just before I hand over to it and introduce Elena, I wanted to just make you aware of an amazing sort of challenge event we have coming up this summer, which is backed by all of our coalition members, but also even more partners. And this number of organisations is growing. So it's called the Climate Action Countdown. It's about celebrating what schools are already doing for climate action. It's about raising awareness within our local communities and really supporting schools to take that next step on their climate action journey. So all these organisations have come together to support schools in this month-long challenge, asking schools and their communities to do one action for sustainability a day between the 7th of June and the 5th of July. And we want everyone involved. So we're currently creating a really lovely calendar of events with some very nice little quick, easy wins. We're hoping they'll be like, so, you know, one day you could label your bins and discover why recycling is important. Or you could have the big energy weekend switch off where we ask students on a Friday to go around and turn off all the screens, all the lights, everything in their school. This will be a pick and mix of actions a school can take during the month. We don't want it to feel like you have to do every action, but there will be prizes up for grabs. So if you're taking part in Big Green Week, that also counts towards the action. If you're taking part in Show Your Stripes Day or Clean Air Day or any of the other brilliant events that are already happening, they also contribute towards your sustainable action for the month. So there are prizes and competitions. And if you want to find out a bit more, have a look at our website, go on and sign up to sort of get more information about the Climate Action Countdown. So really, really excited about what it will be. But that's enough from me. So without further ado, I'd love to invite Elena to the stage, virtual stage. So Elena has worked in the Fairtrade Foundation for 1.5 years. Before that, she was a science teacher and A-level chemistry teacher with a passion for education and its transformative power to make the world a better place by eliminating inequalities, and poverty and moving towards a fair and sustainable world. So I'll stop sharing my screen, and Elena, I'll hand over to you.
Thank you very much, Suzanne. It's great to be here with you today. I know how busy teachers are, having been a teacher for 22 years myself, but I also know how important the work the teachers do in school is in actually raising awareness among students and, and just showing them what our world could be like. So thank you so much for making time for us today. I'm going to share my screen. Just give me a second till I open my PowerPoint, which I think will open there. One actually is not the, oh, sorry, it's not opened on the right one. Let me go back a little bit. So after working, and I can't see anyone anymore, Suzanne. So if anything goes wrong, you just let me know, because I can just see my screen now. So I now work for the Fairtrade Foundation, and I always really appreciated the Fairtrade Foundation resources as a teacher. So actually having the opportunity to work for them was fantastic, because it enabled me to, knowing what I like, to be able to produce the resources that I know that I liked as a teacher. So I've been doing this for a year and a half. I did actually run Fairtrade Schools when I was a teacher. And I'm going to share with you, it's going to be a quick sort of whistleblow tour, but I just want to share all the things that we have that you can use. And actually, we run an award, which is a big part of what we do. It's called the Fairtrade School Award. And I think what's great about that is that it really gets students in schools engaged in campaigning and realizing that they're part of a big movement, and what they do has an effect on the world around them. So becoming part of the Fairtrade School Award is a way of recognizing that work that you are doing. It's really great. We have lots of resources that support many curriculum areas, so you can use them, obviously depending on primary, secondary, but you can use them in geography and religious studies. We have numeracy resources, we have literacy resources, we have videos that can be used in discussions and so on. So you can use that information, and actually doing a few actions might get you the award. And then what I also think the award is used really well is for actually showing that you're working on global citizenship. So sometimes if Ofsted are coming in, you can say, well, we're part of the Fairtrade Award, and that ticks already quite a few boxes showing that you are teaching your students about that. As well as that, we have some brilliant resources. I can't take credit for them. I'm only been contributing to them for the last year or so, but there's some brilliant resources. Films that take you to countries of origin where farmers are growing different fair trade products, and lots of educational resources, PowerPoints and so on. And they are free to use in our website. And anyone can access them. And actually, I do monitor the access, and it's interesting because we have lots of schools in the UK, but actually there's lots of international users as well that are using these resources across the world. I don't know if the people on this call know about the Fairtrade School Award, so I'll tell you quickly about it, but it's 3 levels that we have. And you can be a Fair Aware school, a Fair Active school, or Fair Achiever. The 2 first levels are self-assessed, meaning that you do sign up to our award, but then you do a couple of things. You need to complete some audits. This is really interesting. I think the audits are good to see your progress, because very often it's good to know if you carry on the awards for a few years, you can say, okay, this is what our students knew 3 years ago. This is how they're responding now. So it's a really good way to monitor progress. But it just you just need to register, ask students if they know about fair trade or not, do something in relation to fair trade. You put all that in the system, and it's you get that award immediately. It's sort of you just by providing that information, it gives you the award. The Fair Active one involves a bit more. You need to set up a group, a committee, but very often you're doing that even if you are doing the Fair Aware, there's a group of students that's involved in doing that. Have an assembly, have an event, take a challenge. There's lots of support on our website of what that looks like. And then you get your Fair Active award. And again, it's self-assessed. So as long as you put the information in there, you get the award. The Fair Achiever is the highest award there. And it's, again, similar. I very often think that when you start on the journey, and I think Heather can tell you about that later, she started on Fair Aware and very fast is already doing things that are Fair Achiever. So it's quite a sort of a process that's really easy once you get into it. but it's nice to have the steps that slow you down a little bit. It does involve a few extra things. So you need to have a fair trade policy, but we have model fair trade policies. You need to show how you're embedding fair trade in the wider curriculum, using fair trade products. Oh, and I can see there's a typo there, apologies. That is obviously as far as you can. I mean, we're not saying everything you do has to be fair trade, but showing that you are maybe offering fair trade bananas in the canteen, or have a tuck shop, or tea and coffee in events as fair trade, something like that, and some challenges which I think Heather will bring to light what they can look like. The resources, I'm just going to show you some of our most recent ones. This is one of the ones I have made, and it's live, it's free on our website. I put some links in there, but it's great because it just shows some of the key fair trade commodities and what country of origin they have. They link to some lovely resources. Well, lovely, I've made them myself, I maybe shouldn't be, but they link to some resources where we've done two things here. They've got QR codes, and I know maybe in the classroom environment you're not going to be able to use that, but the idea was our maps have gone out of date very fast, so by having the QR codes, this links you to pages with information about tea and about Sri Lanka, for example, or cocoa and Ghana, and that way we can update those resources without having to touch the map. So, but everything is, we have loads of PDFs of all the resources that go with this. So there's some like comprehension sheets, and then some mind mapping and some things like that. So hopefully, I mean, there's quite a few downloads. It's been out for a month. It's actually, we developed this because it was a request from our school saying that the maps that we had were a bit outdated, and it's a resource they like using a lot in many different contexts. This is another one. It's a beautiful story, and I really like this one because I think sometimes people don't realize fair trade is about social justice, but we also do a lot of work for climate change. So this farmer is called Foncho. He's very charismatic, so he's been in lots of our campaigns. But to give you an idea of the situation, is he had to start helping in his farm at the age of 10. His parents were so poor because obviously farmers don't get paid, banana farmers in Colombia he comes from don't get paid lots of money. And since that, the cooperative his father was in, and the cooperative he's in, joined Fairtrade, so they're Fairtrade certified. And he now has 2 teenage children who have actually gone to university. And it's just that story, how it changes lives. The farmers in Colombia are really facing the effects of the climate crisis. And we talk a little bit about how Fairtrade supports these farmers in these countries which are really affected by climate change, and building resilience and adapting to all the changes of Fairtrade. So this is a lovely film that we've developed recently and is also in our website for you to use. We have lots of different things happening in Fairtrade. Just to give you a bit of a taste, but we are launching, actually it's been really interesting today, because we're launching a campaign which is about deforestation. It's called Protecting Forests with Fairtrade Farmers, and it's been interesting watching because apparently the government were making an announcement about deforestation today, so we've been watching all day knowing if we're going to have to update our information or not. They have actually launched, it did come in the news, and it's actually really positive because they're supporting forest in Zambia with £7 million. So that's the announcement they made. So it fits really nicely because everyone recognises the importance of our forests in being able to, keep climate change under control. So that's sort of being launched now. We've got some lovely resources on deforestation that we're developing at the moment, and we have a petition. We're asking the government to help these farmers fight climate crisis in the countries where they're working. Then we have World Fair Trade Day, another event. What I might suggest, if you're interested in this, I'll give you a link to our newsletter because all the information and resources in relation to these events will be coming up. We're really excited to be part of, obviously, the Climate Coalition the Climate Action Countdown. We've got an event in that month in June, and also it coincides with the Great Big Green Week, which I think is probably going to be a really good opportunity for schools to get involved in all kind of campaigning. I think June is a nice month. The SATs are finished and so on. And for those of you that might have followed Fairtrade in the past, we've always had a fortnight, which has always been in February, and lots of you have been celebrating in our old dates, and that's absolutely fine. But it's been moved to September now, and we've got some exciting things coming up for there. we're going to sort of be looking at bacon and maybe how schools can do bacon with fair trade at school and so on. So that sort of things coming up. Let me just carry on. Oh, something else I was going to say. This year we celebrate 30 years of fair trade in the UK, which is fantastic because it means that during that time we've been able to support farmers across the world to get fair salaries and to be able to support the family. So it's a really massive milestone for us. But we've created a load of resources. These are fun. They're all in our website again, but it's just like 30 quick things that you can do for fair trade. So for example, I got this example. I like this one. Give your young each of those. Well, these are just some of the examples. There's not 30 there, but if you go to our website, there is 30 examples. And one of them I liked was give young people the opportunity to read a book about fair trade. So then we have some suggestions about books for all ages that not talk about fair trade certification as such, but about trade and how it's important that the trade is fair for people across the world. So that's just an example. I said this earlier, this is really, and I think this fits really nicely with our work with the Let's Go Zero Coalition, because we do a lot about fair trade. So fair trade is quite complicated. Actually, when I was a teacher doing the fair trade schools, I just saw a part of it, but it's quite a complex system. We have a fair trade certification. So farmers need to do certain things to be able to get that certification, to be able to sell the products they're certified. And the things they have to do is make sure that the farmers are getting fair wages. And we also have this thing called a fair trade premium, which they can invest in environmental community projects of their choice. But also there's some really strict environmental criteria that they have to meet. So for example, they can't use pesticides. Lots of our fair trade products are actually organic as well, because they go together really nicely. But there's lots of things about how they grow. They can't, for example, grow in land that's been deforested. So that's one of the requirements that we have. That's actually going to be followed by European Union legislation, and we're sort of working with that. But for example, they can't use pesticides. There's very limited, so their impact on the environment is as limited as possible. So when you get in a fair trade product, you know that the farmers have been looked after, but you also know that fair trade is investing in those environments where the food are grown to make sure that we are fighting climate change where it matters the most. So this is our petition that we're launching, well, today, maybe Monday, and we do lots of things. Again, within our work with climate change, we do work with protect our forests. So we do several things, and I'll go through them really fast, really. But our fair trade farmers have access to farm geolocation, and that enables them to monitor deforestation. We also are trying to make accessible information on satellite monitoring. But I think the most important one there is promoting smallholders as forest protectors. The people that grow these really important crops for us understand the importance of protecting the forest. Sometimes if they are involved in deforestation, it's because they're so poor that it's the only way they can actually feed their families or heat their families and so on. So what we're asking, so you can see here some lovely examples of lots of people around the world. I think this one is in Ecuador, but it's here what I was saying, that they understand the importance of forests. But obviously, because they're so poor, it does actually mean that sometimes they can become a risk to forests. So we're putting a petition out to the government. We're doing lots of activities to go with that. We've got some lovely stories of farmers, which I think are really valuable to use with kids because they can really see how that links to something. We're going to be very involved in the Great Big Week through the work we do with Let's Go Zero, and they are focusing on product swap and information swap. So that fits really nicely, swapping something that's not fair trade for something that's fair trade. And hopefully we'll be also taking a voice in COP29 at the end of the year and just talking about all these important issues. Just quickly, I put that in because it's sort of part of the work we're doing, but we are actually asking the government. Then in COP28, they said, or they were going to provide 500 million to support deforestation farmers, and we are asking all that work on deforestation and climate we're doing sort of is got an ask, and it's that the UK government helps farmers combat climate change and doesn't leave it to themselves to actually fight deforestation on their own, because they're in such poor, their conditions are so poor anyway that they don't have the possibility to do that. So I hope this is, as I said, is really, really quick information. And if any of you want to know anything more, please email me. Hopefully Suzanne can share your email with me. And I'm going to stop sharing. So let me just see if I can do that. Oh, maybe I can't right now. Sorry. Oh yeah, I can do it now. Sorry. I'll stop sharing, and I'm going to, oh, I stopped sharing already, have I, Suzanne? Okay, I'm going to introduce Heather now. So I've been really, really impressed with Heather. They've been doing amazing work. Heather Wiggins is a class teacher at Berg Primary School in South Lancashire. I've just been looking at them, and I mean, we didn't know each other, but her amazing work that she's been putting on Twitter meant that I was really attracted to what they were doing. She teaches year 6, which is the equivalent to year 5 in England, a small school in the outskirts of Glasgow with 170 students. And I hope you find her work inspiring, because I certainly have. So up to you now, Heather. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. I'm just going to share my screen, and you can perhaps let me know if you can, oops, hold on. I need to turn on the sound, and then hopefully it will share my screen. I'm not seeing it yet. Hopefully. Alex, can you see it now?
Yeah, we can see it now. Brilliant.
Okay, as long as you can see it, that's the most important thing. So as Elena said, my name's Heather Wiggins, and I'm a primary 6 teacher, which is year 5 at Borough Primary School, and we're based just on the outskirts of Glasgow. So we started our Fairtrade journey actually just over about a year, 18 months ago, and we started off looking at the website of Fairtrade, and looking at what we need to do to get our Fair Aware Award, which actually is quite simple to get. It's very simple. You fill in the form, some information. I think you do an assembly, raise a bit of awareness within your school. So what we did was we got our Fair Aware Award, and we decided that part of Fairtrade Fortnight, that we would, each class would take an aspect of fair trade. So a class was doing bananas, another class was learning about cotton, another class learning about coffee, which is one of my favourite things, and about tea. So that's where we started, and we're very keen to get our parents involved. And we thought that if the children were going to do all this work to learn about these aspects of fair trade, then we should share that with our parents. And that's what we did at the end of Fairtrade Fortnight. We had a parent carer showcase. We're very lucky. We're right next to a main high street of our town, and we have a very, very good cooperative shop, and they're very supportive of fair trade and very supportive of the school. So they helped us in terms of setting up by giving us some donations. So a piece of advice I would have would be to speak to local businesses who are potentially using fair trade products, who'd be interested in helping out, because obviously it can be expensive when you're starting out on these things to sort of outlay that money. So we did some fair trade tuck shops to try and raise some funds that we could then use to buy other things. So it helped that we had donations from a very generous shop. I'm just going to show you. So this was the children going around to get some donations, very luckily from the shop round the corner. And we ran some fair trade tuck shops, which are always very popular. They're not really there to make much money for the school. It's about making kids aware of the types of products, and actually lots of products that children are already using. They're just not aware that they're fair trade. Most of the bananas, when you go into the supermarkets now, are fair trade bananas. Most of your Cadbury's chocolate in particular are fair trade. So given that it was February time, there was lots of cream eggs. Very popular choice. So you can see lots of happy faces there buying some fair trade products, and that was just getting the kids thinking and looking at the fair trade brand and being aware of it when they're in the shop with parents and families. Then you can see there, so a couple of the classes made, you're talking about baking earlier on, Elena, so they had made fair trade cakes, using fair trade chocolate to learn more about it. And another class was learning about bananas, and they're enjoying some bananas in that. This little video, I don't know if you can hear it at all. I'm not sure if it's able to be heard. No, I'm not sure the sound is working. Oh, no,
We
I don't
can
think the
now.
sound's working on it. So these are just 3 of our pupils. They were talking. They were doing sugar, And so they had learned about some of the, you were talking about some of the individuals on the website there, Elena. They were learning about children, very similar sort of ages themselves, living within sort of farms with sugar plantations, and about the importance of fair trade to them in terms of education and also in terms of their futures. And this just little video was just explaining they then took that fair trade sugar and they used it to make fair trade tablet that they then sold to parents at the Fairtrade showcase that we had. So the 3 of them were very good, but it's not working, sadly. Hopefully it'll move on to the next slide. So each class had created a board that you can see here where they explained the things that they've been learning about. So up at the top, which I think will be the top left-hand side there, you can see they've got people wearing, and it's actually made out of wrappers. And they were learning about lots of different aspects about the importance of fair trade, and they made posters. You have the coffee on the other side there, and then another class down the bottom there learning about cotton. Because we felt it was important that children understood not just that it's about sweets, but that there is more to it than that. Fair trade tea, and they made little tea boxes so parents could take some tea bags home with them. And then a class learning about bananas, and then I think that's chocolate that are primary two. So these are our infant classes. And what we did was at the actual showcase event, the children themselves came and presented to parents. So this was set up in our hall. Parents carers came in, we used fair trade tea, fair trade coffee, fair trade biscuits, chocolate, and they came in, got to have a cup of tea and got to see all the work and learn what the children had been doing. We also had, you were talking about QR code, we had QR codes around the hall that they could scan with their phones. It took them to the Fairtrade website to allow them to get access to what was happening with fair trade. And we also had a board where parents could leave us comments on maybe something that they'd learned that they didn't know already, because I think it's important, again, that parents know to look out for fair trade products when they're in the supermarkets. And it helps when you've got 170 sort of ambassadors for fair trade, encouraging parents in the supermarket to buy the fair trade product, and children are very good at that. There's some parents, and there's the cotton, the class that had been learning about cotton, that had made bags with cotton and cotton tote bags. And more pictures just of our parents at our showcase event that you can see there. And the feedback from parents was all really positive. And so we moved on just a few months later, thinking about what we were going to do next to get the next level of our award. And as you said before, one of the things is to set up a committee. And we picked pupils from primary 1, so from our youngest children who are only 5 years old, up until our 10, 11, 12-year-olds. And we looked at what we needed to do to get the next award, to get our Fair Active award. And to get Fair Active, we realised we had to set ourselves a challenge. And this is where the kids were amazing. So they started to think about what could they do that would be a challenge. And we had a look at the website, at other schools' work, what they've done. And our kids came up, that's our Fair Trade Committee, sorry, there. And then they came up with the idea, again, of running the tuck shops, just to raise some money for the main event that they wanted to do. And the main event they wanted to run was a fair trade trashing show. So they decided that what they wanted was each class would be allocated an item of clothing, and they were to make it fair trade. And I'm going to show you some pictures of exactly what they did. But as I know you know, Elena, you've worked in a school before. Kids' imaginations are incredible. Some of the ideas, particularly from our youngest children, about what we could do was incredible. So we had the idea for fair trade shoes, to make fair trade socks, fair trade t-shirts, fair trade dresses, all sorts of different things. And here you can see some of the things that the kids made. Our primary, so they've got kids with t-shirts, with dresses, with shoes. The kids on this top right hand side on the top there, they've got actually fascinators. So if you're going to a wedding at any point soon, they've got their hats and their fascinators ready to go. And then we've got some shorts, some sort of inspired by a love of Disney that I have. I've got some Mickey ears with my class. They've made them into fair trade head bows, some socks, and then some superhero masks in one of our younger classes there. And we held a fair trade trashing show where the children walked the catwalk. So they came out with their designs on, they picked their music that they wanted to, they posed, and our parents came in and watched that and cheered them on. And you can see this is some of our oldest kids wearing their amazing Fairtrade outfits that they've made, and we had a Fairtrade board set up with pictures of all the work that they've been doing, and some very, very good presenters explaining the value of Fairtrade. One of the other things they did just in advance of that was, sorry, some more photographs there, was a design a tote bag competition. Again, the kids came up with this. It was set to all the classes in the school, and these are just some examples of the things that the kids came up with. They had to try and incorporate the Fairtrade logo. Again, it's about the sustainability and about reducing that kind of carbon footprint and reducing the use of plastic. So we got all the classes to design different Fairtrades, and that's our winning entry. And the winning entry got made into an actual tote bag, which we handed out to the winning pupil. But we also made some extra ones, which we gave out within a hamper raffle for parents as well, and that was really popular. The kids and the parents loved that. We also did a hamper of Fairtrade goodies, again trying to raise awareness of the importance of Fairtrade. So Easter eggs, again lots of them have the Fairtrade logo on them, also Fairtrade chocolate biscuits, and also Fairtrade wine, which some people might not be aware of, but always a popular thing to have in a hamper. And the winning entry won also the tote bag. And then finally, we're just at the point of thinking about what we're going to do next. So this picture shows some of the winners from the tote bag competition, and also some of our Fairtrade committee and other pupils who've been involved in Fairtrade. So we've achieved now our Fair Active Award. Again, once you've done the different things that you do, it's just a case of going in and putting that into the website. As Elena said, it's self-assessed. So you pop in all the information yourself, and it comes through fairly quickly that you've got your Fair Active Award. And so our next step is looking at what we're going to do next, and the kids are thinking about what new challenges that we can do. Obviously, we did this in what would traditionally be Fairtrade Fortnight, but we are aware that Fairtrade Fortnight this year is now in September. So obviously looking forward to September and what we can do next. And one of the things is thinking about that switch from products that are not Fairtrade that we do use within our school, and looking to, for example, at our parent events, having just Fairtrade tea and coffee, having Fairtrade bananas within our canteen and stuff like that. And the kids are looking at what's the next challenge that we need to do. But that's our journey, and actually lots of it's been, I know I'm sitting here talking about it, but most of it's been run by the kids. They are incredible, particularly the primary ones, their ideas and stuff that they actually came up with. And I know sometimes you think committees, you should keep it to your upper children, but actually your infants can have the most amazing ideas of what to do within your school to get your Fairtrade award. So that's pretty much me, if anyone has any questions.
Brilliant, thank you so much. That's amazing. It's really incredible what you've done.
I'll stop sharing my screen.
Yes, thank you, Heather. I have to say, I'm in awe of the work that you've done, and I've seen a lot on
I don't know how to stop sharing it. Sorry.
It's fine. It's a beautiful photograph for us to look at.
Sounds.
But you've shared even more than what I thought you'd done, so it's absolutely incredible. Thank you very, very much.
Yeah, no, thank you. Absolutely amazing. I'm blown away. So please
I seem to have lost sound. I don't think I can hear. Elena, I don't know if you're still.
We can hear you. We can hear you, Heather. I can see you. I can see you and hear you. Just let me put it in the chat for her, because can you hear us, Heather? I don't think she can.
Sorry, I can't figure out how to get out of this. Oh, I can't figure out how to get out of the mode to hear you. I'm so sorry. I'm not sure. Oh, got it. It's okay. I think I found it. Apologies.
No, that's fine. And actually, looking at that photograph cheers me up. You send it to me, and I just look at it and think, oh, this is why we do this.
I know the kids' faces, and you can see how much they really enjoyed, and they love that opportunity to lead the learning. So yeah, it's been amazing for our school, and our parents have really bought into it. So I would highly advise any school that's interested in doing it just to get involved. Go onto the website, use the resources that are there, and sign up. You know, the first 2 levels of the award can be done like fairly easily, really. There's, you know, the resources are there for you, everything's there. So that would be my advice, please sign up.
No, brilliant. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Elena and Heather, for your presentations. Really inspiring. And it makes me so happy to realise that by buying fair trade, we're also saving forests. So I knew it was a good thing to buy fair trade, but I didn't realise it was contributing to saving and protecting our forests. So that's brilliant to know. I do have a couple of questions for you both. If it's okay, I'll make a start, and if anyone else in the audience would like to ask questions, please do drop it in the chat box or the Q&A box. So Heather, I mean, you shared so many amazing moments there. What has been your best moment or experience with taking part with Fairtrade Schools?
I think for us, the trashing show was probably the sort of culmination, because it was the kids' work and they absolutely loved it, and watching them come out on the catwalk and strut the stuff and show off, and just having that conversation with parents about fair trade, and we find that getting parents into the building, if you're inviting them in for something that involves a tea or a coffee and a biscuit, and watching their child, then you'll get parents coming in, lots of them. So I think that was the highlight for us, was having that many parents come in. I also think the tote bag, though, the kids coming up with that idea was almost inspirational, to come up with this idea of a tote bag. And now that will be out there. There'll be people walking about with these bags with fair trade and unique, that only our kids have designed. So those would be my two moments. I forgot to say earlier on, and I don't know if Elena said it, I know she said but sharing on social media, like getting that out there, the things that schools are doing, because so many schools are doing so many amazing things. And I think it's really important to share that journey with in other schools. That's where we get a lot of our ideas from, is seeing what other schools are doing. So I would definitely advise that as well.
Brilliant, definitely. I mean, I love seeing what schools are sharing on social media. It's brilliant, it's inspiring, and it inspires others to then keep that going. No, brilliant, thank you, Heather. So one more question for Heather, and then I'll go to Elena. So the school's partnership with Co-op, is that still ongoing, and where do you even begin? So if a school has a business that they might want to approach, how do you start that?
What we did was we took a couple of our fair trade committee, particularly some of our younger children, across to the shop. It's just across the street, really. We took them across to the shop and we asked for the manager, and then we just explained that our school was across. We then had to go away and send an email, and we have in the past written letters before we went, but in this particular occasion, and actually quite funnily, when we went back to collect the donations, one of the little tiny ones was kind of like, where's the chocolate? Like, where's the chocolate? And then they thought they were going to have to pay, because they were picking everything up off the shelves, and then they thought we would have to pay. So they were very surprised to discover that, no, we were getting this donated to us as a school. They also do a lot of competitions in the Co-op linked to fair trade and linked to big events that are happening. So even just, popping into your local shop, asking the question, find an email address for them. And what we've always said to them is that we share on our social media that they are our partner in these events, because I think that's important for them to get the recognition, especially now, things are tough at the moment, and you're asking businesses to donate. So my advice is take your kids, because they're more likely to get a positive response than just an adult on their own. But and the kids don't always take no for an answer. They're quite good at negotiating for the things that they want. So that would be my advice. But yeah, just pop into the shop.
Brilliant. That's absolutely fantastic. Yeah, it's very hard to say no to a young child who's really excited about something. Yeah. No, brilliant. Thank you so much, Heather. And Elena, just a couple of questions for you, really, is just about Fairtrade schools in general. So obviously, Heather works in a primary school. Can the secondary schools get involved as well? Are your resources aimed at a particular age, or do you have multiple age groups?
Yes, thank you. I think actually the bulk of our schools are primary, and in Scotland's is really, really supportive of fair trade. But actually we have quite a few nurseries and secondary schools as well. And having been a secondary teacher, since I've been around, I have made sure that there's always been really good resources. I think for younger ones, they're really good. Like we've got Pablo the Super Banana, so there's some really brilliant primary school resources there. But there are also suitable for secondary schools, and some like we put a really interesting one, or I thought it was carbon. It was analysing carbon and carbon inequality, and how much carbon is produced by some countries and others, and how, you know, so there's some things there that are suitable for secondary as well.
Yeah, that sounds really interesting. And then in terms of your deforestation petition and the new campaign that you're launching, are there any school resources related to that?
Yes, they haven't been launched yet, because we've sort of all been waiting for this launch to go and see what the government was going to do. But we've got a PowerPoint all about deforestation, and we're developing some resources, so they'll be out in the spring, I think, is what we're saying. They're almost ready, but they go through lots of processes of checking and making sure we're doing all the right things. So probably in the next month or so, watch the space, and we will have some deforestation resources out.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, Elena. That's great to know. And just to let everyone know in the audience, and also those who are watching this as a recorded version, I will include all the links to the various things that were discussed in today's presentation underneath the recording. So hopefully that'll be like a quick, easy access for everybody. I think we are just out of time, and so I just want to say a really, really big thank you to Elena and Heather for coming along and sharing everything you've been up to. It's truly inspiring, it really, really is, and I hope it inspires others to become Fairtrade schools.
Thank you very much, Suzanne, for having us.
Yeah, thank you.